I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
the United States of America,
the Republic,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks. And the general reminder to silence cell phones and to put ourselves on mute. If you want to, would like to speak, certainly raise your hand or use the function on Zoom if you like. This meeting is being held pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.021. Ryan, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, as Commissioner Morrow said, this meeting is held pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.021, meetings by telephone or other electronic means. Today's meeting is being conducted using Zoom online meeting technology and is also being recorded. Notice was provided on how to participate in the meeting today. All votes by board members will be conducted by roll call. And at this time, I'd like to just confirm that each board member can hear the discussion. Commissioner Lipke, could you confirm that?
yes.
Commissioner Drano?
Yes.
Commissioner Kolars?
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
We have an agenda in front of us. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
That moves the agenda for the Drainage Authority.
Okay.
Second,
We have a motion by Kemp, a second by Lipke to approve the agenda for the Drainage Authority meeting. Sarah, would you please take the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Drano,
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolars,
yes.
Commissioner Lipke,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes, the motion is approved. The agenda is approved. This portion of the meeting will be closed for attorney-client privilege pursuant to Minnesota Statutes Chapter 13D to discuss litigation regarding the improvement project on Nicollet County Ditch 62A. At this point, we'll be going into closed meeting. When that closed session is over, we will come back into open meeting. So I'm
Commissioner
gonna ask-
Morrow,
Yes.
maybe I missed something, but I thought we approved the agenda, but we didn't address the consent agenda.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Kemp. I apologize. Let's just first do that. We have a consent agenda in front of us.
We'll move the
Commissioner
consent
Kemp
agenda.
moves approval.
Yes. I move
Just-
approval of the consent agenda.
Yep. A second?
Second,
Commissioner Lipke seconds. Sarah, would you take the roll on the consent agenda?
Commissioner Drano,
Aye.
Kemp,
Yes.
Kolars,
yes.
Lipke,
Aye.
Morrow.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved. Commissioner Kemp, thank you so much. So we will now close the meeting pursuant to, for attorney-client privilege pursuant to Minnesota Statutes 13D, discuss litigation regarding the improvement project on Nicollet County Ditch 62A.
And at this time, board members that will participate and other staff that will participate in the closed session will go into a waiting room, and others participating, if you could just wait, and we'll bring you back to the meeting after closed session is completed.
Okay,
That's
we're
the way it's
returning
supposed
now from closed meeting to open meeting. We'll on agenda item 3, we have no additional discussion or items to discuss on item 3, so we'll turn directly to item 4 unless there's any objection. Item 4, approval of the Meddy and Sons contract for County Ditch 86A. Ryan?
And I believe, Jackie, were you gonna present on this?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So as you recall, on November 24th, 2020, the board approved the bid for contracts for Lametti and Sons LLC for the improvement project for County Ditch 86A. They have presented us with the contract, and those documents have been provided in the packet, as well as I have sent the entire contract under an email because it's very large for you to review as well. So today I'm just looking for approval of this contract so we can get started on this project.
Thank you. Before I open it to the board, County Attorney Xander Fisher, I note that you've reviewed or your office has reviewed the contract.
We have, and I have no additional comments.
I'll open up to the commissioners, questions or comments. Commissioner Kemp?
No
You were
question.
unmuted, so I thought you were
Oh, sorry.
unmuted, so I thought you wanted to jump in.
No, I was prepared to put this on discussion, so I would make a motion to approve the contract.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the contract.
I will just add here, Mr. Chair, County Attorney Xander Fisher, do you recommend in the motion that there be any reference to the project manual as you and I had discussed?
Thank you. In the motion itself, the contract documents that are before the board and as referenced by Ms. Copit include a number of attachments to the agreement that are fairly large and substantial. The contract documents are called out in Article 7, and the motion would just include all of the contract documents, including those referenced in Article 7.
Commissioner Kemp, you were making the motion. Your motion would include the documents to which the county attorney just referenced?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there a second?
Drentl will second.
Great, we have a motion and a second discussion. Commissioner Lipke.
I do think some of the landowners are going to be a little concerned because originally Chuck Randall told them that this would get started, well, like Christmas, and would be done by April. And now we're talking about May or June. And I understand there's the problem getting the pumps. So I'm just hoping it can be explained to the people's satisfaction.
I can add to that. I was going to mention in the end, but ISG has planned and we've notified landowners of the pre-construction meeting, which is being held this Thursday at 9:30. It is both in person and online at ISG and offered virtually as well.
Commissioner Lipke, anything to follow up?
Thank you.
No, okay. Other commissioners, any questions or for anybody?
Oh, and Mr. Chair, I won't be voting on this because I'm one of the landowners.
Okay, you could just note that when the roll is called.
Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, Sarah, would you take the roll on the motion?
Commissioner Drano,
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp,
Yes.
Kolars,
Yes.
Lipke,
Abstain.
Morrow.
Yes, the motion passes. Before we adjourn the Drainage Authority meeting, Ryan, is there anything in addition?
Nothing else today, Mr. Chair.
Anyone have anything in addition? If not, do we take a motion to adjourn?
We don't need to.
Well, we now are adjourning the Drainage Authority meeting. I'm going to call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order. And we'll invite a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move, Terry.
Commissioner Lipke moves, Commissioner Kolar seconds. Sarah, if you would take the roll, please.
Commissioner Drano,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Kolars,
Yes.
Lipke,
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes, the motion passes. We'll turn to the consent agenda and invite a motion to approve the consent agenda.
That moves the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Kemp moves, Lipke seconds. Sarah, if you would take the roll, please.
Commissioner Drano,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Kolars,
Yes.
Lipke,
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes. The consent agenda is approved. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I apologize. I forgot that there was an agenda addition. We do have an addition to Public Works regarding Tim Road and County Road 6 in North Mankato that I would like to add to that. So I apologize for that. So
I'll invite a motion to amend the agenda to include that item.
I'm gonna make the motion. Second.
Kemp moves, Lipke seconds. Sarah, if you would take the roll, please.
Mr. Chair, please.
Yes, sir.
So when Ryan is adding this to consent, are we discussing?
Commissioner Kolars, we're going to add this to the agenda. It's not a
Okay.
consent item.
Thank you.
We will have discussion on this item.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir. Sarah, if you would take the roll, please.
Commissioner Drano,
yes,
Commissioner Kemp,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolars,
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Lipke,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes, the agenda has been amended. We'll turn to public appearances. Ryan, you can help us out here. I don't know if we've got anyone seeking to make a public appearance.
Yes, if there's anybody that would like to make a public appearance, please state your name and address. I believe I only see Tim Crone from the Free Press and no other members from the public.
Hearing no one seeking to make a public appearance, we'll turn to Health and Human Services. Director Sassenberg. We have 2 items on that agenda.
Good morning. My first item is a purchase of service agreement with Beyond Brink and We Recovery for Pure Recovery Services. As discussed in the board workshop last week, Nicollet County was allocated funds through the Opioid Epidemic Response Account in the amount of approximately $7,000 for 2020 and 2021. The goal of this funding was to allow counties to provide new or expanded service delivery for families struggling with addiction and served by Child Protection. Health and Human Services is requesting support to begin contracting with Beyond Brink and We Recovery for individual and group peer recovery support services. The significant benefit of these services, as discussed last week, for families to be connected with someone who has lived experience in their situation, either with addiction or child protection services. Many of these services will be billable to medical insurance when recommended by a chemical health assessment. So our contract would be only for the grant dollars, which will be used to purchase services for clients when they cannot be billed. So this morning I am asking for approval of our purchase of service agreement for a new program area.
Kemp would make the motion.
Kemp moves. Do we have a second?
Drano will second.
Drano seconds. Discussion on the purchase of service agreement.
Just one question, Cassie. We're talking about non-recoverable items from any other form of compensation for services and would still be limited in the scope of the $7,000 regardless. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other additional questions or comments? Seeing none, Sarah, would you please take the roll?
Yes, Commissioner Drano,
Yes,
Commissioner Kemp,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolars,
Yes,
Commissioner Lipke,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes, the motion passes. Thank you. Director Sassenberg, would you like to turn to the COVID-19 update?
Yes, thank you. I will first start with just a brief case investigation and contact tracing update. As of yesterday afternoon, we were at a total of 2,312 cases in Nicollet County with 59 active cases. We are still trending lower right now. We are beginning to see positive cases and exposures related to school and sporting. The state is also now incorporating a survey link to be used for contact tracing, so people can choose to complete a survey rather than to have a phone call with local public health. We're finding that the survey provides a little bit less information and it doesn't require people to answer all of the questions. So we're worried about getting a little bit less data. So we're continuing to still make as many phone calls to members of the public as possible, knowing that it is voluntary for people to participate. A couple of updates related to vaccination as well. At the local level, we continue to vaccinate for phase 1A, which includes the healthcare workers and first responders. In 1A, we have approximately 850 people left to vaccinate. We received a shipment of 100 vaccines and will receive 200 more today. All 300 doses will be used within the next 3 days to vaccinate phase 1 individuals. Additionally, there were 7 unused vials from the pilot vaccine clinic last Saturday that we will use to vaccinate an additional 42 people from phase 1A tomorrow. In general, the model for vaccine distribution is shifting. We're slowly receiving additional vaccine, and we're beginning to partner with healthcare providers. There's some meetings occurring today, and we should have some information on collaborative efforts to share with you in the near future. As you also know, several of our staff members, approximately 15, participated in the vaccine pilot clinics this past weekend. We were on site for approximately 13 hours on Friday and 10 hours on Saturday. There were some significant strengths to these events. We were able to vaccinate more than 1,200 people. This was more than originally planned for. When the event was modeled, it was based on 5 doses from each Pfizer vial. And when the event took place, we had an average of more than 6 doses per vial. So we were able to vaccinate a much larger number than first intended for. People from this event gave us wonderful feedback. They thought the event was very organized and efficient. We heard that people found our nurses to be compassionate and patient. And of course, people were very grateful for the opportunity to be vaccinated. And our staff members very much enjoyed being a part of that and getting to have those interactions with members of the community. It was definitely something that, gives back and is very rewarding to us as well. There were also a lot of things to take away from these clinics. Using a new technology system proved to be difficult. As you know, with registration, the system was overloaded, which resulted in glitches in receiving confirmation of appointments and some misunderstandings related to the wait list. That unfortunately did result in us needing to turn people away who thought that they might have had appointments on both days. This was generally in the over 65 population. My understanding is that the formula for the number of doses available has been updated to use the 6 doses per vial, which should help in having less of a wait list and being able to have more people scheduled and also allow for an efficient use of the wait list. There continues to also be a lot of thought put into how to best run clinics that involve the over 65 population, particularly in terms of the use of technology. Some other challenges were related to how the waitlists themselves operated, communication on site, and just making sure that all of the vaccine vials were used. That was of significant concern to local public health, and we were very happy to see that it was all able to be used. In general, we had understood the goal of these pilot clinics to be for the state to learn from local public health and to test out new strategies for large-scale events. We really appreciated the opportunity to really help build these events and to partner with some of our local area providers such as District 77, the North Mankato Police Department, and Mayo Health Systems. There was a wonderful collaboration between all of these local agencies. At this point, in terms of staffing the events, the state has their plans put together for how they would like these clinics to run, and they have indicated that their clinics can be run using contracted staff members at this point. So without the need for our team members to be teaching strategies for mass vaccination, we've decided that our staff members will focus on these clinics that we are planning locally and continue to be available as a resource for the state if needed. Any questions that I can answer regarding COVID-19 updates?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kolars.
thank you very much. Can you tell us the name of the vendor that the state hired? We had heard a little bit about a name last Friday from your cohort in Brown County. And then I have a follow-up question.
The state contracted with Homeland Health for to be the medical lead for these events.
So that is the name that rings a bell that we heard about last Friday. Could you give some sort of characterization as to how they behaved at the North Mankato site?
Sorry, would you mute?
Well, I mean, I can explain the role of Homeland Health at the site, which was to be the medical lead. So we had a lot of partners involved. We had the State Emergency Operations Center was in charge of the flow of the event. We largely staffed the event, and then Homeland Health was in charge of making decisions about the actual vaccination piece, so the medical decisions.
So if I could just add again, from the email that you shared yesterday, it seems like, Cassie, the work of our Nicollet County folks was not as much appreciated as it could have been from this particular vendor. And that's troubling to me personally.
Director Sassenberg, if I could just build on Commissioner Kolar's question. It certainly is a pilot project with a lot of learning going on by everybody. And I appreciated your explanation about being able to turn attention to our local clinics as well. With that, I'll let you proceed, but the fact it's a pilot project certainly has been a learning experience.
Absolutely. And I certainly wouldn't say that Homeland Health didn't appreciate what local public health would bring to the table. I think what's so difficult in a pilot project is knowing what the role of each agency is. Homeland Health was given the lead for the medical decisions. That's something that was directed to them by the state. And the State Emergency Operations Center was directed to run the flow and how things looked. Local public health didn't have a decision-making piece in the role. And I think, as the pilot project started, we were able to figure out what that meant for us. We could offer feedback. We were there to give the local touch and, to be helpful wherever possible. I think that we did that very well. And I think that the three groups really worked hard to figure out who has which role at that event. Knowing what our role is moving ahead, that's why the change in our staffing. If our role is to offer feedback in a way that changes the event or is meant to teach, we would dedicate every resource that we have to that. If the role is to staff the event, we really need our expertise to be at the local level for planning clinics. So I think our expertise was used in setting things up initially, and then moving forward, we're able to shift that back to the local level.
Commissioner Kolars?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's an adequate response, I think. I'm certain that you've conveyed, Cassie, I don't know if the word is glitch or whatever it is, to MDH, to at least express, how things worked here locally. I'm so happy that 1,200 people were vaccinated, at least in the first round. I talked to a number of them as they were walking in and walking out. I was just in the parking lot, monitoring, watching, hoping that things were turning out well inside. But I'm certain you conveyed to MDH what the vendors and how everything worked out that day or those 2 days.
Yes, we've had debriefing meetings to talk about roles and how to move forward. Like has been said, this was a pilot project, and we all need to learn how each agency partners together for all of these future clinics. And like you said, Commissioner Kolars, I think the key takeaway is that 1,200 people were vaccinated, and that was amazing to get off the ground in just a week.
Commissioner Kolars, you're muted.
Mr. Chair, I might add that I was able to go online with the vaccine deal today, and I'm in some sort of a waiting list. I don't know what that means quite yet, and I don't know, I guess when they call me, they'll set me up for some sort of a vaccination because I'm of that age. So I'm grateful for that. And I want to thank Cassie and her 15 people who worked all those hours last Friday and Saturday to make this happen in a way that I think has been well received by the folks who live around this area. Thank you, Cassie.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Kemp, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to reiterate what Jack finished with was, again, Cassie, thank you to you, your staff, and everybody that's been connected with this. We knew things were going to be bumpy. Anything new is bumpy. We had a learning process, and I appreciate your organization's willingness to pivot quickly, understand the needs, and move forward, and also not wasting any doses by accumulating those doses so that they're going to be administered. And I think those are the important takeaways from that, that we've done everything we can. We learned a lot. We're learning more. And again, thank you and your staff for just making a Herculean effort, which I'm sure a lot of your staff aren't getting a lot of rest. And I appreciate that. I genuinely do. Thank you.
Commissioner Lipke.
Mr. Chair, thank you. As a person that was lucky enough to get on the waiting list and to get a notice that I could go in Saturday afternoon, dealing with the state was really a pain, but boy, once I got to North Mankato, Cassie's people got me through there in short order. Everyone was very nice, polite, efficient. I don't know how they could have done it any better as far as getting a person in the one door and out the other door. So thank you, Cassie, and all your people.
Thank you for all the wonderful feedback.
Any additional comments or questions? Well, if not, I'm just going to pile on and just note that Nicollet County was chosen to be part of this pilot project because of the outstanding professionalism of Director Sassenberg and everyone over in public health. And I think, Commissioner Lipke, your comments are very well taken. Compassionate, caring, wanting to do the best for folks in this pandemic. So as always, it feels like we say it weekly and we mean it weekly. Thank you so much, and please share our appreciation with the staff. Ryan, did you have anything?
No, thank you, Cassie. Just to follow up, the vaccination clinics this week, are we doing those in our facility then for the 1A folks?
We are, yes. 3 days worth.
3 days, okay.
Cassie, how many 1A folks estimate did we have to begin with? You mentioned 800 some to go. How many did we start with?
A little bit over 1,000. We have a very large 1A group in Nicollet County, just due to the sheer number of healthcare workers and residential facilities.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. We'll let you get back to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to turn to Public Works and Mr. Greenwood.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board and staff. Several items from Public Works today for the board's consideration.
Mr. Greenwood, can we pause 1 second? We're getting a lot of feedback on your microphone.
Oh, I don't know why that would be.
Maybe move it away from any phones or anything like that, Seth.
My microphone's on top of my monitor where it's always at. If I sit back, does that help?
No, we'll go ahead and proceed. If we come up with a solution, we'll let you know.
Thank you. So first item I have is for the board to consider a 2020 LRIP application resolution of support for State Aid Project 52615-025. We had discussed this program at the last board workshop, and a little background for anybody that might be watching the board meeting is the 2020 Minnesota legislature provided $75 million for the local road improvement program, which we refer to as the LRIP program. MnDOT State Aid administers the LRIP program, and they've recently opened up a solicitation for project applications. Eligible county projects can receive up to $1.25 million, and applications are due by March 3rd of 2021. And then awards are anticipated to be announced in May of 2021. And so our County Road 15 reconstruction project that's to take place from Trunk Highway 111 to County Road 51 does meet the eligibility requirements for the LRIP program. And so as part of submitting an application, a resolution of support is required from the county board. So I've included a draft resolution of support in your board packet for the board's consideration. I also submitted the LRIP solicitation guide that provides additional information about the program and the application process. So I'm asking the board today to approve the County Road 15 Reconstruction Project LRIP application resolution of support, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions board members may have.
Commissioner Kemp.
I'd move the resolution.
Kemp moves. Commissioner Lipke seconds. Discussion on the resolution.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Given the track record, I feel pretty good. You've done amazing work in bringing in funds for projects in our area. Additional comments? What's that?
You just jinxed me.
Any other comments or questions on the resolution?
I just have one question, Mr. Chair. Seth, is this application, obviously it's going to be competitive because I'm sure they're going to be more than that. Is there a specific rating system? I did not go through the nuts and bolts of the application, but I'm assuming there's some rating factors that would put one project ahead of the other.
There is a project or a application committee on state aid side that will review all the applications and look at how each application stands up to the different criterias of the program. But I'm not aware of any hard and fast scoring criteria that they've put in place.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Sarah, would you please take the roll on the resolution?
Commissioner Drannell,
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp,
Yes.
Commissioner Kollars,
Yes.
Commissioner Lipke,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. Thank you all. We'll turn to the appraisal engagement agreement.
Yes, my next item is consider appraisal engagement agreement for our County Road 15 project. We had also discussed this topic at the last board workshop. We are getting to a point in the development of the County Road 15 reconstruction project that we need to start the process of acquiring additional permanent road right-of-way and temporary easements to actually be able to construct the project. These acquisitions will be identified, are identified on our preliminary Nicollet County right-of-way plat number 30 and will involve around 105 parcels that we need to acquire. And so to acquire these parcels, we need to have each parcel appraised in value before we make our offers to the landowners. And so included with your packet is an appraisal engagement agreement from Brovold and Company to provide these valuations for these 105 parcels. We're estimating a cost to be around $46,250 for those services, and they will be providing a mix of minimum damage valuations, which we call MDVs, and full real estate appraisals. Depending on the value of the acquisition per parcel determines if you do a minimum damage valuation or a full real estate appraisal. That dollar figure is if you're below 25,000, you can do an MDV. If you're above 25,000, then you need to do a real estate appraisal. And so once the appraiser starts looking at the properties, the actual number MDVs versus real estate appraisals may change a little bit, which would change the ultimate value of this contract. So I'm asking the board today to approve the appraisal engagement agreement and authorize myself, the Public Works Director, to sign the agreement. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions on this topic.
Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Commissioner Lipke moves, Kemp seconds to approve to enter into the appraisal engagement agreement. Discussion on the agreement. Commissioner Lipke.
Seth, I shared the concerns that some people had about the project, but I'm not going to stand in the way of safety. Another interesting thing is some gentleman approached me And he said, well, I don't like the idea. I'm gonna lose land and not get paid for it. Is that perception out there? Because I know when you guys did County Road 12, you were more than fair in your valuation of property, in regard to what the market was at that time.
I'm not aware that that perception is out there. We do compensate landowners for new permanent right-of-way and those temporary easements that we need to construct the project. We do provide pavement for those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions or comments? Seeing none, Sarah, would you please take the roll?
Commissioner Drano,
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp,
Yes.
Kolars,
Yes.
Lipke,
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes, the motion is approved. Mr. Greenwood, do you have additional items you'd like to touch upon for the board?
Yes, before we go to that additional agenda item that was added, I just got a couple more points about the County Road 15 project. At a subsequent board meeting, I'm hoping by probably March or so, I'll be coming back to the board with the final completed Nicollet County right-of-way plat number 30 for this project, and we'll have the board officially adopt the final right-of-way plat and pass a resolution that authorizes the purchase and acquisition of all the additional permanent right-of-way and temporary easements.
Thank you. You're exactly right. I wanted to finish the conversation on 15 before we move on. If there are no questions or comments, let's move to the agenda item we added. Ryan, I think I'll maybe turn to you and then to Mr. Greenwood.
Sure, I'll briefly introduce the agenda addition today. County Engineer Greenwood was approached by the city of North Mankato about the possibility of converting Tim Road, which is County Road 6, between Rockford Road and Lookout Drive to an urban roadway instead of a rural roadway. They're proposing a $2.1 million project and also applying for local road improvement program grants, which the board just approved in a previous motion for County Road 15. I'll turn it over to Seth to discuss more of the conversation he's had with North Mankato and some of the concerns that he has with making changes to this road at this time.
Thank you, Ryan, for that introduction. I was contacted by the North Mankato city engineer, who is Dan Sarf, and he works for Bolton and Mink, inquiring if the county would support a project that North Mankato is looking at, possibly converting County Road 6, which is also named Tim Road, from County Road, the intersection with County Road 41 to County Road 13, and convert that to an urbanized section with curb and gutter, sidewalk, potentially turn lanes at County Road 13. And speaking with Mr. Sarf, he had mentioned that the city had been receiving development inquiries from developers that would prefer a more urban type street connection on County Road 6, and they have concerns with the elevation of the existing top of County Road 6 compared to the existing adjoining land elevation. Concerns that if they were to purchase property and build out there, that their driveways would be steep and whatnot. And so the city is interested in converting to an urban section. As Ryan had stated, they've done some preliminary cost estimating. It would be a project around $2.1 million to make that conversion. And Mr. Sarf had inquired if the county would cost participate on a portion of the project. If the city was successful in getting around $1 million in LRIP funding, would the county be interested in cost sharing the remaining $1 million. County Road 6 is in excellent condition as of right now. It's a 10-ton route. The pavement's in really great shape. It has very wide paved shoulders, and so for the traffic and the type of traffic that County Road 6, it's more than adequate to handle that. So based on our cost participation policy that the county has, we would not participate in any cost shares on that road, because the need for the project is being driven by development in the city, which those needs for improvements to the road would be a city expense. I have some concerns about converting the rural section of 6 to an urbanized section at this time. I think someday in the future it makes good sense to make that conversion, but right now there's nothing built around County Road 6, so it's exposed to the wind and the elements out there. And by lowering and converting the road to an urban section at this time without no structures or trees or anything that really blocks the wind and the snow in the winter, those urbanized sections can become a real issue for snow removal. And we see that on our portion of County Road 41 north of Trunk Highway 14. 41 was built as an urban section, as you know, and is at the same elevation as the surrounding area. And these years with decent amounts of snow, it's been a real issue for snow removal. Those roads tend to drift shut without any building that hasn't happened around there that would actually block that snow and wind from drifting in deep. Another concern I have is, since North Mankato is a state aid eligible city, they can submit an application by themselves with county support. But even though this could potentially be a city-led project, it's still an entire project on the county road system. And my opinion would be, we've already got County Road 15 going in for an LRIP application. I would see this as a second county LRIP application type project, and this project would be in competition with County Road 15. And it's my opinion at this point that County Road 15 project is our first priority. The road has numerous geometric deficiencies. It has safety deficiencies. It has a track record of accidents and run off the road type accidents. The pavement's in poor shape, and just from all those factors, I believe that County Road 15 would be the county's primary project for the LRP application process at this time.
Well, this may be a good
So that's
moment.
kind of my,
Yeah. Thank you. We don't have a proposal or recommendation in front of us, so I would invite, if commissioners have questions about this matter, please speak now.
And I will just add to that point, Mr. Chair, this project was just brought to Public Works Director Greenwood recently. And because of the timing of the LRIP grants, the city engineer has encouraged us to bring this forward as soon as possible. So that's why we're bringing this today.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, it's Jack.
Yes.
You know, certainly an idea like this, I think, should have been shared in earlier in our joint city county meetings, which have been non-existent for at least 2 years. So I'm disappointed in the city's late request. I'm hearing Seth provide a number of reasons why at this point this really isn't good timing for us, with County Road 15 project being our main focus.
Thank you, Commissioner Kolars. Other commissioners?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kemp?
I would concur with Jack's assessment. This seems very, the request seems a little bit out of track. We have been working on County Road 15 for a very, very long time, and we've committed a lot of resources to that. And I think that's imperative that we deal with that issue first. Again, that chunk of county road is very serviceable. It's a good quality road. And arguably, correct me if I'm wrong, Seth, but even the properties that would be affected represent only those on the south side of that road. The rest of the farm or the land that is to the north, I believe, is still ag land. Is that not correct?
That's my understanding, correct?
So I think it's somehow being a little short-sighted, and I don't support I would not support a resolution in that regard.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chair, if
Commissioner
I
Kemp.
could,
Commissioner
Mr. Chair, if I
Kolars?
could just add on to what Denny is saying. Seth, your idea for County Road 41 going north would connect one day with 13, a couple miles out of town. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, long-term vision would be that County Road 14 potentially would be pushed further north and reconnected into County Road 13 at some point. That actual connection point has not been determined, and will take some analysis to determine where the best spot for that would occur.
And hearing that, and I don't know if any of us will be sitting on these boards when that actually happens, but would that afford the city of North Mankato some more development areas in that triangle that will be created by that new 13 extension or 41 extension of 13?
Most definitely.
Other comments or questions? Seeing none and seeing no action item, Mr. Greenwood, is there anything else that you would have to add on any other public works project?
Well, in relation to this item, just one additional point is in my conversations with Mr. Sarf, he had said that North Mankato staff haven't approached the city council yet to determine if they're even interested in moving forward with an LRIP application and committal, if they would happen to be successful, to contribute, potentially $1 million or more towards the project to actually make it happen. So there was, even if the county board was supportive, there was no indication yet if even the city council was going to be supportive at this time.
Great, thank you. Any other project or updates that we should know about?
Nope, not at this point, unless board members have questions for me on anything.
Mr. Chair, I do have one question.
Commissioner Kemp.
Seth, on regard to County Road 21, we had some temporary issues out there. Are those resolvable to your satisfaction to get us through the winter months?
Are you referring to where County Road 21 in slope had slid into the river and we were down to one lane for a big chunk of the summer?
Yes, that's correct. I don't recall that I had knew where we ended up with that, because there was some concerns about timing and things like that. So I'd just like to know, are we back to 2 lane there, at least on a temporary basis?
Yes, we're back to 2 lanes there. Last fall, the board had approved an emergency restoration project with Mathewitz Construction to rebuild and reinforce the slope as a temporary measure to get County Road 21 back open for the winter to 2 lanes. And they have completed that project I think they completed that by Thanksgiving of last year. It's been open to 2 lanes and working real good. And so this buys us time to start the engineering work to develop the permanent repair solution for County Road 21. And the temporary work that we did should be robust enough that should last us for a year or more until that permanent repair project is ready to go out for bids.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other questions or comments? If not, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you're doing and keeping the roads clear this winter.
You're welcome.
We'll turn to Ryan on the 21-25 strategic work plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Each year, the county strategic work plan is designed to serve a variety of purposes and objectives. These include a decision-making tool for the board, a leadership and management tool for developing staff work goals, and a communication tool to staff and the public about projects and services the county may provide. By effectively using these tools, the county can ensure that the process and outcomes support the county's mission, vision, and core values. At our workshop last week, I presented the draft strategic work plan to the board, and we reviewed some of the projects. I will not go through the projects here today because there are 36 pages of projects. We have a very busy year and years ahead with a variety of services. I would encourage the public, if they are interested in viewing the strategic plan, it is going to be available on our website, or contacting the county administrator's office for a copy. But I would recommend that the board approve the work plan. And again, this has been put together by all the department heads with their strategy for the next 5 years.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the 21-25 Nicollet County strategic work plan?
Kemp would make the motion.
Kemp moves. And I think Kolar seconds. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments on the strategic work plan? And yes, we did have an opportunity to discuss this at our most recent workshop.
And just, Mr. Chair, if I may add, it's a lofty set of goals, but I appreciate the fact that our department heads and ultimately our departments have had some input into this. And even with the limitations of COVID, I really appreciate their work. And I'm hopeful that we're able to accomplish, or at least have a very strong movement to the achievement of those goals. Thank you.
And
Commissioner Kolars.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. And thanks, Denny, for your comments. I appreciate that. It's really good always to set plans and for departments to understand what their plans are, what their goals are, what they accomplished, and what they look to accomplish. So roadmap is a good description, isn't it? And as Ryan, I think, told us at the last workshop, or maybe I just imagined it, who knows what the future brings, and who knows what else is out there. But if you don't plan, you fail. And so I think it's good to have a plan. Thank you.
Good, Ryan.
Yes, COVID will dominate many of our departments in 2021 for sure, but other work must still go on, and all the departments are dedicated to continuing to provide the essential services that county government provides. So I think it's a good roadmap for getting us through this year and the next 5 years.
Other comments or questions? Seeing none, Sarah, would you please take the roll on the motion?
Commissioner Drannell,
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolars, Commissioner Lipke,
I see Commissioner Lipke saying something. I think he's on mute. Commissioner Lipke?
Yes, and we have to be flexible with this plan.
Okay. All right.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes. The motion is adopted. Ryan, do you have other, we can go right into reports if you have no other action items.
Nothing else for me today.
Please. I'll turn to you first.
No reports other than our business grant program, that we received $660,000 of state funding to help with economic recovery of our small businesses here in the county related to the pandemic. That is up and running, and we've received several applications, and the application period is open through February 5th. And we hope we can get those funds out to the businesses that are in need by mid-February.
Great, thank you. Let me ask if there are any other directors on this meeting who have any reports, or County Attorney Zender Fisher. Let me start first with the County Attorney.
I have nothing further to update the board on at this time. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other directors? If not, I'll turn to Commissioner Committee reports. We'll start with Commissioner Kemp.
Since our last gathering at board, I've been participating in the Mental Health Local Advisory Council, MRCI Executive Board, our closed ditch meeting, Statewide Emergency Communications Board Steering Committee, and the Statewide Emergency Communications Board Finance Committee. Our last board workshop, Joint Powers meeting for workforce, and that takes me up to today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Drennel.
I attended the One Water, One Plan meeting virtually. The Emergency Ditch Gig, a True Transit Advisory Board meeting for Vine. The Elected Women Group, always interesting. Our board workshop, Region 9 Revolving Loan Fund. I sat in on the Our St. Peter Group's webinar, Brown Nicollet Community Health Board. Yesterday was Joint Ditch number 6 with Sibley County. I was remote, and last evening was Planning and Zoning.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Lipke.
Hello, I was at the Soil and Water meeting, Nicollet, or not in the Zoom meeting. The watershed meeting, as Marie was, 62A here. The workshop, Brown Nicollet Public Health. I had my shot on Saturday, and the same ditch meeting in Gaylord yesterday.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Kolars.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I always provide my meeting updates to Sarah so she doesn't have to write real fast. Drainage meeting on the 12th, TDS personnel. We had a Maple meeting, a board workshop, Greater Mankato Growth, TDS board. Community Health Diversity Council last night, which was very interesting. Minnesota Valley Action Council. Thank you.
Commissioner Kolars, was that the first meeting for the diversity group?
It was my first meeting, Mr. Chair, and they had, it's a terrific group. I mean, they had a 15-minute video about, what's the best word for it? Well, the way folks of color are discriminated against in our community. And there's a YouTube presentation it's called Amplifying Black Voices. If you'd like to go on YouTube, dial up Amplifying Black Voices. And they talked, Terry, if you'll allow me just to say, about the self-esteem issues that many of our people of color in our area are experiencing, this microaggression. Talking about you are beautiful for being Black, and people touching their hair. And Terry and board members, it made me embarrassed to know that folks treat people that way. And so I'm grateful to be part of this diversity council. I came to understand last night that Blue Earth County upped or increased their contribution to Diversity Council from $6,000 to $18,000, and the city of Mankato increased theirs to $31,000. So as we go along, I may be asking this board to consider some sort of a contribution, because after the first meeting, it's incredible what our neighbors of a different color experience even today.
Well, thank you. I thought since it was our first county participation in that group, I thought Commissioner Kolar, it'd be appropriate to get a report. And I should mention for all of us, as we're mentioning the meetings we've attended since the last board meeting, if you have something to add, some texture to those reports, certainly are welcome so that we all know what's going on in different committees. Mine was, I attended the LAC meeting, the county board meeting that the workshop we attended, we had the ditch meeting, the Brown Nicollet County Public Health meeting. Yesterday, I was part of an AMC Health Committee meeting to talk about the budget, and we're going to have a call this afternoon about HHS budgeting as the governor comes out with his budget proposal today. So we'll all keep an eye on that and see how that affects us at the county level. Meetings and conferences, Ryan, I don't know of any offhand, do you?
Yeah, I will just mention that a reminder that we have our meeting with our state and federal officials this Friday at 10 a.m. That's a virtual meeting. And then the AMC Legislative Conference will be virtual this year, and that's on February 17th and 18th.
Great, thank you. A motion to approve per diems and expenses.
Temple, move it.
Kemp moves.
Second,
And Kolar seconds. Sarah, would you please take the roll?
Commissioner Drantle,
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp,
Yes.
Kolars,
yes.
Again, I forget.
Lipke,
Can we do a vote on adjourning?
No, we don't have to.
Lipke is aye.
Morrow,
Aye. The motion is approved. If there's no further business or discussion in front of the board, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. So the meeting of the Board of Commissioners is adjourned. Thank you,
Thank you all.
everybody.
Thank you.